Welcome everyone. Today we'll have an amazing Spiritborn build with an evade combo. So looking behind me, this is a new Spiritborn combo that has a lot of life, a lot of barriers, and also 5 times more damage than the current meta Spiritborn build that evades through using unique stuff. So let me see if I can find some good numbers. You can see that we're hitting over hundreds of millions per pop with the feathers. And compared to the previous setup, we're actually packing a lot more damage. And you just saw like 150, 140 millions of the damage with each of the perks. We're also 100% critical chance with 2000 plus critical damage. So let me just show you guys the stats for this build. I have over max resistance of 80%, 100% critical chance, over 2200% critical damage, and that's not even all. We have so much survivability and also tons of damage with this new setup. So let me show you guys a brief demonstration of the build. And of course, you probably know the build. This is a very popular build coming from Woody Joe and also Rex. And this was also updated by a number of content creators who were introduced after this short demonstration. So the build works perfectly and you'll be dashing through enemies, gaining tons of barriers and even high damage because right now I'm not using the unique stuff. We have additional combos and way more damage using this particular setup. So skipping over to the boss for the tier 80 dungeon, and this is well beyond World 4 difficulty. And if you guys are looking for a build that is endgame that uses some of the unique, uber unique or mythical unique items, this is definitely a build to try out. This build will use 2 mythical uber unique and this can get you over 100% critical chance. So here I just want to show you guys my current fight, and I wasn't trying to do the most damage. I was trying to show you the stats and also my setup. So here let me see if I can pause correctly. Over here I have over 7,000 life, 7,000 barrier, and also max fortified. So this build is super survivable together with a lot of damage compared to the previous setup. So what is happening is, as you can see, we're now using a legendary wand that can be crafted with additional potencies for the spirit health, together with additional spirit feather potency, max dexterity, vulnerability damage, and also maximum life. This particular wand gives me a lot of health. So see, I'm over like 3,800 HP. With this particular quarterstaff, I'm close to 7,000 HP. And we're also using this mythical helmet that gives us tons of critical chance and also bonus damage against enemies and also 200% more damage against angels and demons. And because it's a new setup that no longer using the septic wand, which wasn't giving us a lot of stats, we're still able to have permanent evade cooldown reduction for this particular build. Now, in case you guys are wondering, yes, I have tested using different items, and here I was testing using another quarterstaff. So here is me doing damages against the target armies, and here you can see we do about 8 million to 16 million damages using the unique quarterstaff. And what happens when I switch into another quarterstaff? So let me show you guys over here, and you can see this is before I crafted or done any masterwork. And you can see the damage numbers are already doubled or tripled just using the legendary quarterstaff. Of course, here I didn't solve the cooldown issue, but very soon I'll show you guys how to solve the cooldown issue with evade. So notice the damage numbers are almost tripled or 5 times more damage using the new setup. Now, before we dive into the builder's guide, I do want to say a big thank you and also shout out for Screamheart for sharing his build, who I took a lot of good inspiration because I was close. I was testing this yesterday. I had the concept thanks to my friend Royal and also Matt from the Clan who gave me a right direction, but I was missing this particular aspect of the gloves, which means I couldn't get the vulnerability and then I couldn't get the cooldown reduction. And a big shout out for Streamcard for sharing this one, and he does have a YouTube channel to share his version of the build. My version will be a little different because I'm using 2 mythical unique items, and he is currently only using 1 mythical unique helmet for this build. We're also using different ultimates over here, which I'll go through with you guys. So briefly describing how does the new build work. Previously, you were triggering the 3rd attack with every hit, which lowers the evade cooldown by 5 seconds and gives you permanent evade. Now without this particular unique round, you're getting tons of stats, tons of damage. But the downside is you'll no longer trigger evade reduction as quickly as we can. To compensate for this, we'll be using this particular legendary effect which lowers evade cooldown by 5 seconds when enemies are vulnerable. and you want to be getting a lot lucky hit chance and making enemies vulnerable. And this will allow you to have more evade cooldowns. And as you reduce evade cooldowns with higher lucky hit chance and also vulnerable enemies, you can achieve this. So what I was missing in the theory crafting is how to make enemies vulnerable. And with this imprint on the gloves, we'll be making enemies vulnerable when they are affected with Vampiric Curse. And notice how all of those are related to lucky hit. So having this helmet that gives us a boost of lucky hit with tons of critical chance, the new mythical unique helmet is the centerpiece for this build. This also gives you 60% multiple damage multiplier and also 200% more damage against angels and demons. And this together combines the strongest factor is that you can be crafting a two-handed weapon aspect that gives you tons of more critical damage because of the block chance we're stacking for this build. We're also getting additional bonus damage by crafting the armor gorilla aspect on the amulet, and together with even higher damage by having a barrier that is up all the time. Now briefly going through the skills. The skills are very straightforward. It is similar to what Rags and also it is similar to what Scream has made, and I have made my own adjustment. I feel like we don't need to be too tanky and also too much durability for those perks, just because if you want my barriers you can go over here. But what I really liked and wanted to use is actually Devour. I didn't actually want to use the hunt too much because I was jumping around and sometimes the cooldown wasn't coming off, and the cooldown is pretty long. So my goal is to lower Devour under 15 seconds or just at 15 seconds to gain the maximal supremacy stacks, which allows us to get tons of more damage. So this is the centerpiece, and my take on the build is to use Devour as the ultimate. Now one of the most important adjustments for this build is that we now have additional 3 evade charges. It is very important, guys, if you change into this build, you get into those perks, so this way you can get lucky hits which will proc lower even more cooldowns for additional evades as you get them back very quickly. Now here I do want to mention, I have also decided to take my Teros Might, well because I got a maximum roll on this. And this also gives me a lot more damage resistance compared to the other builds that didn't use this item. So here you can see my damage resistance is close to 70%, and we have a lot of armor, 100% block chance, and all the goodies that is available in the game. And of course when you come out of combat your damage does go a little lower. And one thing is, I am running with a movement speed boost bonus with greater effects together with lower cooldowns. I didn't get the good rolls. You can see that because I'm still crafting this build, some of my pieces are not even 8 and those are not rolled correctly. So this is why I encourage you guys to actually look at the builder's guide instead of looking at my items, because those are the targeted crafting for Mastercraft and also greater effects items you wanted. Now I do want to mention, it is extremely costly and hard to get greater effects armor, dexterity and also potent. So what I did instead is, notice my amulet, I decided to go with maximum armor, dexterity and also brilliance. Well, I was rolling into potent, I couldn't get potent. So if you cannot get potent, you can go with brilliance over here. So why do you want to go with brilliance is this is also a damage multiplier that provides you with additional ego skill damage based on your movement speed. And this is what Woody Joe and Rax used in the previous build. Now briefly going through the Paragons, we haven't changed the Paragon much. We're still following the original build with Canny, Spirit, Talon, Jagged Plumes and also Ferment. So if you guys are following the previous guide for the evade build, nothing has changed for the Paragon. Now briefly going through the skill rotation and also tips for this build. Well, it is very straightforward. You just try to dash as fast as you can while pressing all your buttons. And during this time, you want to spend and also cast your spells as soon as they come on cooldown, especially ultimate. Because once your ultimate comes off cooldown, you'll be getting additional supremacy stacks which allows you to deal even higher damage. During this time, if you're casting, if you're dashing around, make sure you're always traveling in a greater distance to take use of your ruins and also to proc them more often for this. Now in terms of the boss fight, you actually don't really have a problem against the boss, and you'll be getting so much barrier, you'll be getting so much defensive capacities, you can mow through the boss very quickly. And if it happens to be the boss is actually a demon or any form that is related to demon angels, you will do 200% higher damage because of your helmet. So what I do now is, I'll briefly show you guys a demonstration of this build in tier 80 of the pit. this build can easily push for 90 or 100 one-set gamma gears to 8 and also 12 masterwork. And those gears right now are not the most expensive gears. So if you're looking for the gears, it is best to buy those gears as soon as you can if you want to have some fun for this particular evade build that is updated for 5 times more damage.